seems like Ten is a very, what's that word, determined to evolve the Hishintai unit. Even if they have to cross some moments that is pretty unnatural even for an army, because even Garo, a veteran from the Duke Hoyo army, an army that charged first, asked questions, never find this training exercise to be harsh. Hi, for those who are watching, it's the Angry Anime Fan, the Despair Reviewer, to bringing you the summary of Kingdom Chapter 492. Turns out that this recruiting process is, well, not just, hey, let's join, buddy. No, it's extremely strict, running around, sweating your ass off, trying to hold on to branches, and then make sure you don't collapse kind of exercise. An exercise, well, the veterans from the Hishin units actually sweat in fear of, because, well, they didn't have it that tough. They got through their life with experience. When saying that, I have to admit it's sometimes a bit fun to actually picture some of the surviving veterans of the Hishin unit. How long have Hishin unit existed now? 8 years? 8 or 10 years? And this little kid here, and one of the little kids who have grown up in this army. Hishin unit built their strength based on experience, similar to how Oki always said an army should. Built on experience. Take your tragedy you have from the comrades that couldn't join you on your quests and become even stronger. But this test to find new recruits is an attempt to create stamina into this. Of course, some protest because they say this battle is just a battle to kill or be killed. And so Sugen, a veteran of the Hishin unit, the guy who had the most flexible sword skills, even an unknown red shirt knows his name. Apparently, saying that he is among or the second best. No, not the second best. I think Well, actually, this is as I always said before about morality. But this has nothing to do with that. This is actually an argument when saying, who is the best swordsman master of the Hishin unit? Normally you would say Shin, but when you think about it, isn't Kyokai a better swordsperson than he is? Maybe they rival each other, but this guy, Sogen, is obviously below them, so he is still high up. So he decides to prove a point to saying that why this happens by giving them real swords, and he of course knocks them down with a wooden sword, mind you. Giving this typical showcasing, if this was a battlefield, you wouldn't have lasted 5 seconds. So instead, the red shorts after defeat just asks Sugen, is Shin the captain even stronger than you? Even though you are among the top swordsmen of the Hishin unit. Sogen, being one of the many extremely loyal warriors of the Hishin unit, says that even if there were hundreds of me and all of them attacked him at the same time, he would still have beat them. And that is Shin. He has evolved pretty well into a great commander. One can argue exactly how strong he is right now, but there's no denying he has become a very charismatic person. And given from what we see of the Raw of the next chapter, there may be even some hints that these new recruits, maybe it's time for Shin to evolve in his charisma even more. So having heard that even from another veteran, which I forgot the name, the guys that says that they must do this thing. And it's then that Garo actually says that this strict training was never for the Duke Hoyo gang. But Ten, who created this, saying they needed to build a new foundation of the Hishin unit. She describes it as, while our close combat quarter is very high, When facing with an elite cavalry like Keisha, we were still torn apart. So we need individual basics. I think what she is hinting about that is, I think she actually confirms it later on in the chapters. Actually, she does. It's saying that she's not just trying to create young warriors with enormous stamina. No, it's actually finding hidden potential. Because Keisha's army actually had gangs with pretty many hidden potential. And finding special abilities, well, the only way for special abilities is a way to make them take tests, and then one day they'll find a place where they will find one. So by, well, not accident maybe, but by 1:10, Shin and Garo reaches a troop that has been disqualified. It's the same troops as those Archer brothers. They're of course very honored to see the captain, even though they apparently have failed. Which is much to their shame, seeing that they couldn't have shown their skill before they even got show it. And there are, after all, archers. So that's and so in hearing that, seeing that the 10 is actually looking for archers, she asks one of the brothers to snipe a target practice when they get over there. But just hearing that word, the shorter brother, I'm still not exactly sure. Do we hear his name? Well, we see later. He decides just to, from that one comment, stand up and shoots. Even though he shoots it from the exact other side, and a lot of different troops are running around. And miraculously enough, in a very stylish Kingdom art fashion. You can say what you want about Kingdom, especially its reality. I mean, there have some, well, I wouldn't say unrealistic, but when it hints how monstrous, well, not, maybe these things are the wrong thing to talk about, but when they are hinting just how dangerous these hidden potentials of the Kingdom War manga are, there always are some stylish arching skill that seems out of this world, and given to the fact how reality-like Kingdom is, it actually makes it very awesome. And indeed, this brother shows that awesomeness. He fires the arrow, and the arrow flies right. It is very difficult in describing, but I think you understand, but I'll still try. The arrow doesn't hit one of the recruits who runs, no. Instead, if you say two guys are here, the arrow flies right between them and still hits the target on the big place. Now that is skill. And when 10 in her surprise wonders, how come you could hit the target? If you aimed anything wrong, you would have hit the people. And the brother just says that if I didn't hit the target, everyone would have gotten hurt. So the bigger brother does the exact same thing and also hits the target, exactly the same spot as his brother. And according to the big guy's name is Tan. So yeah, seems like Kairyu 10 has found their first hidden potentials. These two brothers are hunters. Mountain hunters. Well, not mountain hunters is the wrong word, but they are hunters from the mountains. And the one who taught them their archery were their pops, apparently one who died in a war, ironically enough, in a troop led by Duke Hoyo. Never thought Duke Hoyo's sacrificial, not pawns is the wrong word, soldiers would actually come back. When I mean come back, I mean, as we said before about morality and stuff, some people just think that Duke Hoyo sacrificing his soldiers is just so mean. In a way, you could also actually ask, how could Duke Hoyo have so many soldiers? I mean, he sacrificed some, and yet it still seemed like he had so many. But he was a general. He could have always found fodder. But it's as I said in the beginning of this chapter. Those who fallen, Their comrades take up their strength to become even stronger, remembering their sacrifice. But it turns out that this pops of these two archer brothers died actually on his first war. And Garo doesn't recognizes Sogen, which was the brother's pops' name, until suddenly a little later he does remember Sogen. Sogen was actually someone famous in, well, maybe not that famous. He died on his first war, but he was someone who created a special archery division within the Dukoyo unit. And the reason why he was so famous was because, well, Sogen was one of the master archers that was of the 10 bows, and the only one who was hailed in Shin. Meaning, we have met some of the 10 bows, and there have been some hints. I mean, many have died, but there's never been excellent confirmation if anybody have been replaced. Maybe not, given to this line. But given from what Garo says, it confirms that Shin never really had any worth noting archer. Sorry about that, by the way. And so the two brothers have inherited that skill. And yeah, they blush as they may actually realize that even though they failed the stamina test, they may very well be the first hidden potential that Kairo 10 has found. So yeah, the focuses of these chapters are still only on the Hishin unit, but given to the fact that we were focused so much on Sei, I think it's pretty good we see the Hishin unit before we head out to the next war. Finding new characters is pretty good. It's also kind of fun. But one wonders if these brothers will become famous. Who knows, but the chances have become big. But to think the 10 bows would actually be come back into the story. Who was the last 10 bow we saw? Wasn't that cocky? Well, no. I mean, I want to say cocky because, well, he was from Chu. And for me, every single person from Chu is cocky. But he was actually one of the few people of Chu that wasn't cocky. But he was extremely confident in his bow. I think it was ranked number 4. The guy that when the first time I saw him I actually wondered, is that a female? But it's actually the same with this younger brother. They look so he looks so feminine, but that's just the art. So but it doesn't matter. So the brothers have insane archery skills, inherited their power from a father who didn't become that famous but still has a name for himself, sort of, from a veteran like Garo. And now they're recruiting strong people into the Hishin unit, although they will create stamina freaks most. I'm already looking forward to what next will bring. It's pretty good to have these before we head off to the dangerous war, don't you think? What do you think about this? Do you think wasn't that manga page of hitting the arrow, target with the arrow, so fun? Well, not fun, amazing. What do you think about this? Give me your thoughts if you have any.